Hello, the quest for the perfect guitar tone continues. Or at least, well, I shouldn't say that because I've kind of given up. Um, in recent months, I've been doing lots of comparison with various plugins, trying to find the perfect this and the perfect that. And it's just such a fruitless task because when you find something that sounds really good, it's kind of sad because you think, oh, well, I want to carry on looking anyway because, the searching is so much fun. Playing with new plugins is so much fun. And so I've kind of given up trying to find this perfect mystical unicorn guitar tone. It's even if it's out there, the likes of David Gilmour and Santana and Brian May and all of these people, they find their tone and stick with it forever. That's not me. I'd rather carry on looking, thanks very much. So in this video series, I'm basically going to go through where I'm up to. I am curating a pretty nice set of very lovely sounds, and that's what I'm most interested in, just having a collection of really lovely sounds that just do a great job. And if I mix and match them to my heart's content or bring new stuff in, absolutely no problem. I'm not trying to find this single one-size-fits-all sound anymore. I have tried and kind of failed. It's just not worth bothering with. So what we've got, basically, just to give you a brief overview of my setup, I've got Ibanez JS1 into a Fender Twin amp, a valve amp that's attenuated by a UA aux. That signal comes out a mono feed into my audio interface. That's recorded clean in Cubase. All of these events that you can see are exactly that. Clean, dry, warm, valve-driven guitar signals straight out of the amp into Cubase. It's basically a glorified DI. This is a very expensive guitar DI, what we've got here. So all of these sounds are exactly that. Just really simple, unadulterated sound. So if I'm going to treat that as a DI, I have to do all of my processing in the box, and that means reamping it internally as well. I can't send that sound into an overdrive unit and call it done. That's just not going to work. That overdrive pedal is expecting to output to an amplifier. And so as you can see on my insert chain here, I've got Amplitube. That's what we're going to talk about today. Amplitube is kind of my go-to multi-effects unit at the moment. I have others. Bias FX is fantastic. Guitar Rig is fantastic. But I'm really enjoying playing with Amplitube, so that's where we're going to start our journey. You can also see that I've got two loudness monitors here. These are absolutely critical. It cannot be overstated how important gain staging is. You need to make sure that at every stage, even while you're inside one of your multi-effects units, you're always in control of the signal. So the top one is the raw guitar sound before it's had any effects applied to it. The bottom copy of Insight is on my stereo bus, so that's basically after everything's been done to it. And so when I press play with no effects in the chain, there's a bit of reverb. I am sending to a reverb, so there's a little bit of difference between these two sounds, but basically that's the same signal in as you get out. Now if I turn Amplitube on and unmute it, I'm immediately going to colour the sound because as you can see, we've got an amplifier in the chain. This is what I'm talking about. You can't apply any of these overdrive units and not have an amp there. It'll sound dry and thin and horrible. It can be done as a matter of interest. You can right click bypass. You're going to need to bypass the speaker cabinet as well. So if we do that, this is now a completely dry signal. And so again, the input matches the output. But now if I turned an overdrive sound on, it doesn't sound what it's supposed to sound like. Really horrible. So yeah, you can't just apply an overdrive effect to a dry signal. It's got to go through an amplifier. It's what it's designed to do. And so we need this in the chain. Speaking of the chain, here's my mono signal. You can have multiple paths in Amplitube. I pretty much never do. Stick to a mono. I'm perfectly happy with that. Even though I'm calling it mono, as you'll see shortly, I do split it into two microphones and have those go into stereo outs. So this guitar track is a stereo track. You can see the two little circles here denoting that it's a stereo track. And that gives me the option coming out of my mixer to pan my outputs from the speaker cabinets to the left and right, and I get different effects in there. We'll deal with that shortly. Back to the amp for now. So this is my clean go-to basic amp out of all of these massive number of presets. Amplitube, IK Multimedia have got so many licenses. It's really incredible how much stuff they've managed to scoop off the market. And as you can see, Orange is one of the officially licensed products. This is the OR50, and it's just a fabulous clean sound. Quite bright, you know, I've got it set quite bright. But that seems to help with the overdrive sounds. So this is my basic signal that seems to be working at its best with any combination of overdrives. Now, if I wanted a dirtier sound, I've got a couple of other amp presets that I like to go to. The AC30 Blue Tube is really nice. So this is the top down view of an AC30 here. Apparently they mustn't have the actual AC30 licensing because it's called British Blue Tube. But this is a kind of darker, warmer sound. Very nice. You can hear me driving it. Did you notice when I picked this new amp, it also chose the different cabinet for me as well? It always matches the cabinet appropriate to the amplifier. So I basically just let it get on with all of that stuff. I do, however, play quite a bit with the microphone settings. At the moment, I've got an SM57 and a U87 combination. It's just such a huge subject, and I'm not an expert, but I do know that a dynamic mic plus a condenser mic gives a good balance of sound. And those two different microphones are where I get my stereo effect from out of Amplitube. So you can see that I've got my two microphones panned hard left and hard right. Don't underestimate the significance of playing with these microphones and moving them around in front of the cabinet. You can get an awful lot of like tonal variety just by moving these microphone stands around and kind of pointing them at different parts of the speaker. Basically, right in the middle gives you the brightest tone, and then it gets darker and darker and darker as you move away from the center of the cone. There's other stuff around kind of trying to find the joining point of the cone and the speaker and all sorts of stuff, but like I say, I'm not an expert on that. Just basically got them set more or less central, slightly offset, and all of the various speaker cabinets seem to work pretty well with that. The Orange AD30 is another really cool, kind of very nice basic sound. Just get it going again. So I do really like the standard clean sound out of the amp. Not really one for heavily distorted amplifiers. And then I get all of that stuff out of my effects. I do need to give a very quick shout out to this one as well. I don't have a preset for it, but this Leslie 147 is just absolutely glorious because it's got a Leslie speaker attached to it. So just instantly sounds amazing. That's your Leslie speaker. I've got these sounds in this this bank of sounds up here is basically kind of mostly the quiet stuff at the left hand side and then a bit more active over on the right hand side. If you want to download all of these, check out my Patreon link below. This project is available to my Patreons. You basically get all of these WAV files inside the Cubase project. So yeah, I mean, being able to mess with the Leslie speaker in a pretty rich and deep way, I mean, you do have complete control over that sound. Fantastic stuff. As far as the Amplitube signal path itself is concerned, we'll deal with overdrive effects in the next episode because there's quite a bit to talk about there, the various different choices available. It's just an absolutely massive and really fabulous sounding selection of overdrive sounds to go at. They're all at the front of the chain, and you can have up to 12 of them chained together before you ever get anywhere near the amp. So more than enough for sane people. I have seen more than that chained together, but I would never go beyond about 3 or 4. And then you can also see at the end of the chain, I've got another effects loop where any modulation is set. So currently I've got my Univibe set on that. Not going to be able to hear it if this Leslie's still warbling away. So we'll go to the orange, and then I'll turn my Univibe on. And there you can just hear the Univibe doing its thing. So between all of these various guitar sounds, I can basically dial in any kind of effect that I want. And because they're pre-recorded carefully, you know, as cleanly and well as I can play, I'm not in that situation where I'm playing the guitar and every time I play I'm slightly different, and so I'm not really getting an opportunity to listen to the effects. I'm concentrating too much on playing. I find it much easier just to record guitar lines in, and then if I really want to home in on something, I can create my locator points, set up a locator around that specific zone, and really listen carefully to exactly that thing that's going on. But hopefully you can hear all of this stuff, you know, right out of the gate. It's all just sounding very nice. This is the idea of me building up a suite of sounds that I can reliably go to and turn most of this stuff on or off, and it immediately sounds good. That's what we're going to be dealing with in this video series. Hope you found that useful. Hit the like button if you did, please. I'll see you for the next one. Thanks a lot.